I grew up on the Gold Coast, so yeah, I did all my schooling down on the Goldie right through to the end of grade 12, and then started working in the same area, I guess. Grew up going to the beach, doing all those surfy kind of things, I guess. When I was at school, I've always loved illustration, always been right into my drawing. So I wanted to do something in regards to that. Firstly, I thought that I wanted to delve into graphic design, but then when I found out that graphic design was mainly on computers, it kind of steered me away from it. I wasn't really keen on that idea. I like more your illustration style. I guess I've learned now that you can incorporate that illustration style into graphic design a little bit more. At the time though, I didn't know that, so yeah, it steered me off and I went straight into interior design. My next door neighbour actually at the time, he was working at a tile shop and they were looking for someone in the showroom, so that was how I got into interior design after I'd done the study and everything. So yeah, I started working in the showroom there. I would meet with clients who were building a new home, take them through all their colour choices, wall, floor, tiling, main floors, bathrooms, all their wet areas, but also help them choose their paint colours and things like that as well. So yeah, I worked there for nearly 10 years, but I learned so much there, so I stayed there for such a long time because of that reason. While I was working there, I felt like my creative side wasn't really getting enough attention, the drawing and all that. So I actually made a couple of tops for some friends to wear to a music festival, and it just started from there. It's pretty cliche, but that's sort of where it began. I started doing my own illustrations with fabric paint straight onto the fabric, and I would make the piece where the design was, and then do the drawing on there, let it dry, and then sew that straight onto the top. And then I went from buying tops to put the designs onto making my own tops from scratch. I actually, my mother-in-law at the time taught me how to sew. She just had a little machine at home. She basically just showed me the basics to get started, and then I just went from there and I basically taught myself. Yeah, mainly singlets and t-shirts. It's got like, the old label had like a street style to it, so I would do a lot of designs that incorporated kind of the skateboard look, a bit of a rock style to it as well. So when I got that business fully together, I just kept making heaps of tops, and I thought, where can I take it? And I thought the markets. So I took that label to the Young Designers Market in Brisbane. It's held at South Bank. Once a month, there's about 90 stalls, all handmade gear, and that was where I would take all of my tops to and everything. Yeah, did really well there, really well. Lots of tourists would buy it, heaps of young people that wanted something different. That's what they liked about it. Well, I guess at the time I was still working, and I made the tops in my own time, in my spare time, on the weekends, things like that. On the weekends I would attend the markets, take all my gear with me, set up, do all that. So I never went and did it on my own. I never left my job, so I was always doing two things at the same time, so I'd have that bulk of normal wage coming in, and then the extra on top was good. I was a little bit over doing interior design. I wanted to do something different. One of my girlfriends who I went to high school with, she is a teacher, and she encouraged me to apply for uni. She said, why don't you become a home ec teacher, because one, you love sewing, you love all the textiles, you're great at cooking, and you know, right into all that, do home ec. And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds all right. So I applied, and it just all fell into place. You know, that really modern sort of style that I have, the things that I like to do and make, I try to bring that in because I feel like kids really enjoy that side of it, and it is all home economics really, and textiles and fashion. So I try to, incorporate those activities that you know, are going to make them interested in making things, not this sort of old style that we think of home ec by. In my internship and before that, during my pracs, one of my biggest mentors, she taught fashion at Kiwana Waters, so I learned a lot about teaching fashion there, and I just loved it so much. I thought it was just so cool that every school needs it, pretty much, because that was something that was missing when I was in high school. We didn't have any subjects like that, and if they had, I probably would have enjoyed school a lot more. So yeah, I talked to a couple of people in admin to see if we could bring it here, and they said yeah, so that was sort of how it started. They have, you know, the whole board to choose from. Anything that is their style they can bring into it, pretty much. Anything, you know, because it all depends on what the students like to design and what they want to create. So it is really up to them. It does reflect a lot of their own aesthetic, which students often find it difficult to find because they're still in that really exploring stage of finding out who they are and what they like and how to express themselves. So I guess that sometimes is a little bit difficult for them. But I like to give them ideas and things like that, so that often helps them along. And the freedom, definitely, yeah. I can often teach what I want, you know, as long as it aligns to the curriculum, always does. It's just so creative. I just love it, yeah. There's a couple of things that I'd like to introduce that aligns with the fashion program here, especially with senior students. I'd really like to start a fashion parade and have a lot more of the community come in and see what we do here at Nash and also what the kids create. I think if we can design it maybe to align with breast cancer month or week, I think that would work really well. We could raise some money, donate it. I think the biggest thing that's most enjoyable in teaching fashion and anything creative is, and other teachers will agree, seeing when that penny drops. You know, when the student realises that they've you know, learned something or something becomes a lot clearer to them, then it just makes it all worthwhile. Everything else disappears, you just get that warm, fuzzy feeling in your heart. So yeah, just that. There definitely is lows. It can be hard to teach students to be creative if it doesn't come naturally to them and they don't explore work in their journals on their own, things like that. That can be hard to push at times because you kind of have to show them lots and lots of ideas. But after you get talking, show them some examples, I have my own journal to show them, they love that. It all becomes a lot easier. Definitely go with your strengths if you're starting out. For anyone, I guess, you've got to go with your strengths, what you're good at and what you really enjoy. So there's no point going into graphic design if you're no good at drawing or putting colours together and things like that. So it does come back to who they are as a person and what they like to do in their own time, you know, what they're passionate about.